Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or The Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be going in depth into my week number 16 running back start or sit decisions for the 2022 fantasy football season. But before we could get into things, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter, please do so at NotoriousFNTSY. Today's video is being brought to you guys by BetMGM, who we're going to be talking about a little bit later. So without further ado, let's get into my week number 16 running back start or sit decisions. We begin with Thursday Night Football, the Jacksonville Jaguars at the New York Jumbo Jets. In this matchup, I'm willing to start Travis Etienne Jr. of the Jacksonville Jaguars, but if I'm being honest with you guys, my confidence in him is at an all-time low, and he's kind of one of the bottom of the barrel starts on the week. Now, I still do believe that Travis Etienne is incredibly talented. The problem is that he isn't seeing as much volume as he used to. He's not getting as many dump-offs, and he's also playing up against the Jets, whose defense is really solid, both against the run as well as up against the pass. So while Travis Etienne might be able to score 12, 13, 14, maybe even 15 plus points in this game, his downside, his floor might be scoring 7 points in this game, right? And his ceiling kind of feels a little bit lower ever since Zay Jones has kind of blasted off into outer space. So Travis Etienne is a start, but not a guy that I'm going to be banging the drum aggressively for. JaMychal Hasty, his backup, is a sit. Zonovan Knight as well as Michael Carter are definitely interesting because the Jacksonville Jaguars defense is absolute booty cheeks up against the run. But at the end of the day, with Zonovan Knight getting banged up last week, I thought he would have a bit of a better game against the Lions, but once he came back, they didn't really full-on commit to him. They didn't want him to get re-injured, and at this point, if they're just going to go with a full-on committee with Zonovan Knight and Michael Carter, there's really no reason to start either of them, and this offense is absolutely taking the wrong turn now that Zach Wilson's under center, and Mike White was already ruled out for Thursday Night Football, so we're going to have Zach Wilson again, and it's just not a recipe for success for the Jets offense as a whole. Next up, we move to the Atlanta Falcons at the Baltimore Ravens. Tyler Algier has been really consistent over the last couple of weeks in terms of having a really high yards per carry number. Last week, he absolutely devoured the New Orleans Saints defense. I think it is entirely possible that he does it again up against the Baltimore Ravens. The Atlanta Falcons' MO all season long was to run the ball at an incredibly high clip. Now Caleb Huntley is hurt. Cordell Patterson hasn't been as productive. So the team is leaning heavily on Tyler Algier while Desmond Ridder is under center, and I think that Tyler Algier is a start-worthy running back on the week. J.K. Dobbins is very clearly still hurt and playing with an injury, but at the same time, while he might only be 70% of the normal J.K. Dobbins up against the Atlanta Falcons defense, this guy might look like Bo fucking Jackson. So at the end of the day, I am still going to start him here up against the Atlanta Falcons. J.K. Dobbins is a start. He's been very solid over the last 2 weeks. Cordell Patterson is a sit because, again, he hasn't been that productive as of recently, and with J.K. Dobbins back, Gus Bus Edwards is left on the bench. Next up, we move to the Detroit Lions at the Carolina Panthers. In this spot, the only running back I'm comfortable starting is DeAndre Swift. Now, if you wanted to make the argument that maybe you want to start Jamal Williams over a guy like Travis Etienne, then I'm not going to make too much of an argument with you about that, but Jamal Williams is going to be a sit for me. He's had 2 straight-up fucking duds in a row. The Panthers defense is a little bit sneaky good, and with DeAndre Swift just playing better than him, and with obviously DeAndre Swift being clearly the better running back out of the 2, I think you're better off just rolling with DeAndre Swift in this spot. Donta Foreman as well as Chuba Hubbard are running backs that are interesting because I think they're both talented, but the Lions defense has definitely looked a lot better against the run as of recently, and they really are in this committee of a backfield where some games it's Hubbard, some games it's Foreman, you never really know, and then in another game it might be Blackshear, the 3rd string running back, who ends up having a great day. So I'm just staying away from all these Panthers running backs. Next up, we move to the Buffalo Bills at the Chicago Bears. Now, Khalil Herbert is expected to return in this matchup up against the Buffalo Bills, which certainly rains a little bit on the parade of David Montgomery, who's been really productive over the last couple of weeks. The Bills defense is definitely pretty decent against the run, but we just saw them get gashed by Raheem Mostert of the Miami Dolphins last week on Saturday. Again, I think David Montgomery is a decent start, but his upside is very limited by the fact that Khalil Herbert's back. Obviously, that take is assuming that Khalil Herbert comes back 100% healthy, and with how the Bears season has been, I don't think Khalil Herbert would be forcing himself to come back if he wasn't fully healthy, so I expect him to be good to go. Devin Singletary and James Cook. This is just a backfield from hell. I think James Cook's better than Devin Singletary, but neither of them are reliable at all. The Chicago Bears suck absolute donkey hog up against the run, but with this being a dual-headed backfield with Cook looking better, but they still want to use Singletary, I honestly don't think either of these guys are going to score over 10 points unless they score a touchdown. And a lot of the time, the Bills, they'll get up in the game, and instead of just running the clock out, they'll just keep passing, metaphorically teabag the defense. So Devin Singletary and James Cook, I think they're talented players, but at the end of the day, they're just not start-worthy at this point in the season. Next up, we got the New Orleans Saints at the Cleveland Browns. Both Alvin Kamara and Nick Chubb are starts, but I have to feel extremely unconfident in both of these guys. Ever since Deshaun Watson has taken over, 9-inch Nicholas Chubb has been a complete and utter unmitigated disaster, and he's currently banged up going into this game. If for some reason he ends up missing, then Kareem Hunt would obviously be a start. Nick Chubb was a guy that when Jacoby Brissett was under center was very reliable game in and game out. And the reason why I'm not telling you to sit Nick Chubb is because we all know deep down that up against any defense, I don't care if it's the fucking 85 Bears or one of the worst defenses against the run in the NFL, right? It doesn't matter to me. Nick Chubb has the upside to score 25 plus points in any given matchup. He's not going to be ranked very high this week, but I would start him. Same thing goes with Alvin Kamara. We really haven't seen shit out of Alvin Kamara thus far this season. Andy Dalton hasn't really been dumping the ball off too much. We've been seeing David Johnson come into the game when it's clearly a situation that Alvin Kamara should be out there. Dennis Allen is a certified dumb bastard. That guy needs to be fired. I cannot stand watching this motherfucker coach games. Jameis Winston should also be under center. Anytime they have to throw the ball far, they bring in Taysom Hill. Just bring in Jameis. Let him be the starting quarterback. This stupid fuck, it pisses me off so much. But at the end of the day, Alvin Kamara and Nick Chubb, they have the name value. They have the upside. But the problem is their floor normally used to be, it's like, oh, on a bad Kamara game, he's probably getting 15 points. Now in a bad game, he might score 4 points. It sucks. Same thing goes with Nick Chubb. Speaking of David Johnson, sit that fucker down. I remember when David Johnson was really good. I love David Johnson, so I'm not going to make fun of him. But Dennis Allen, figure it out, man. Why are you using him so often when you have one of the best running backs in the NFL? Next up, we move to the Seattle Seahawks at the Kansas City Chiefs. In this spot, Jerick McKinnon is a must start. Now, for weeks, I've kind of shied away from, you know what, Jerick McKinnon, it's kind of a fluke, right? They're not gonna need to throw the ball against the Texans. They're gonna smack the shit out of the Texans. It'll be over in the first half. They go to overtime. Jerick McKinnon takes a dump on their chest. It's fucking hilarious how this shit works. The Seahawks, I don't think, are really good. They're kind of on the decline. But Jerick McKinnon's probably going to take a dookie on their chest as well. So Jerick McKinnon's must start. Definitely would rather start him than Pacheco. Pacheco still look good. He's still the in-between the tackles runner. He just doesn't catch very many passes, and that's because Jerick McKinnon is extremely talented at catching passes. So Jerick McKinnon as well as Pacheco are starts, but Jerick McKinnon is on a whole different level. Bought me a new shovel. Compared to Isaiah Pacheco. Kenneth Walker III. So Kenneth Walker III is going to be a start for me up against the Chiefs. I didn't really believe in him last week on Thursday Night Football coming off the injury. He played all right. It was nothing special. You didn't win your week because you played Walker, but he also didn't sink the metaphorical ship of your team. This week he gets the Chiefs, which just an all right defense. Like, I think Walker should be fine. He got you here. He looks healthy. They're without Tyler Lockett. Maybe they look to run the ball a little bit more. Kenneth Walker seems pretty reliable this week. Travis Homa is going to be a sit for me because he is just the backup for Kenneth Walker. Next up, we move to the New York Football Giants going up against the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. Cold like Minnesota. But before we move on into breaking down this game as well as the rest of the games on the Sunday, Saturday slate, because we still have to talk about the rest of Saturday's games, then we go to Sunday, then we go to Monday Night Football. But before we do that, I would like to give you guys a quick word for our friends and our sponsor over at BetMGM. Now, in the spirit of giving through the holiday season, BetMGM has partnered with OddsShopper to offer a $25 free bet on top of their first bet insurance of up to $1,000 to new players who sign up for a BetMGM account. This free bet promo will be offered during Christmas week from December 19th to December December 26th. So you got to make sure you take advantage of it now before it's too late. All you got to do is click on the link in the video description or in the pinned comment to activate this offer. Sign up for BetMGM, deposit $10 or more to receive a free $25 bet, and then you can shoot for the moon with your first wager, because if your first bet loses, BetMGM will give you free bet credits equal to the amount of your first bet, up to $1,000. So make sure you guys take advantage of that right now before it disappears, before it is too late. Back on into the Giants versus the Minnesota Vikings. Saquon Barkley, on that last drive of the game when they had the ball, this dude looked like he hopped into a time machine back to when Saquon Barkley was one of the best running backs in the NFL. And that's not to besmirch what Saquon's done this season, because he already looks like the old Saquon this season. But the way he fucking broke that guy's ankles, it was truly impressive. Saquon Barkley was on a tear after not looking the best recently. Now he gets the Vikings. The Vikings are notoriously dick cheese up against the pass. They're all right against the run. I think Saquon Barkley will be able to get it done here. He's clearly the focal point of this Giants offense. Dalvin Cook looked atrocious in that game up against the Indianapolis Colts. Now, I know they had this crazy comeback victory, and Dalvin Cook had this huge run. And I understand, but Nick, you can't retract points that he scored. Sure, you can't. You can't take back that huge fucking beastquake run that he had. But outside of that, Dalvin Cook was playing so fucking bad. So bad. When you looked at his stats, it was crazy how bad he was, but obviously he finishes big. Huge game. One of his best games of the season. So I'm not here to kind of besmirch Dalvin Cook, because he's been one of the best running backs in the league over the last couple of years. But it's pretty clear that he's kind of lost a step. Now, the Giants defense could make a lot of running backs who aren't the best look great. So I still think Dalvin Cook is start worthy, obviously. But what I saw last week outside of that huge run was definitely concerning. And I think anyone who has Dalvin Cook or was watching that game probably would say the exact same thing, unless they're just a Vikings fan. And then they're going to get down on their knees and gawk all the players. But to be fair, I do the same thing about all the Dolphins players. So it is what it is. Matt Breida, his handcuff for Saquon Barkley is a sit, as is Alexander Mattison of the Minnesota Vikings. Now, next up, we move to the Cincinnati Bengals at the New England Deflatriots. How about them Patriots, baby? What a game. What a game. What a way to lose, you sorry bastards. Ramondre Stevenson, what are you doing? Doesn't matter, though. It's not like Bill's going to bench Stevenson. He's the best fucking player on the team. And it's not necessarily his fault that Jacoby Myers launched a piss missile 60 yards back to Mac Jones for him to get stiff-armed. It was hilarious. Especially how much I hate the Patriots. That was very funny. Especially seeing Mac Jones get put in the fucking dirt like that, like a little bitch boy. But at the end of the day here, Joe Mixon has been down. He's been down bad the last couple of games. A couple weeks ago, though, he had that humongous game where he scored like 5 touchdowns. So it kind of makes up for it, right? He had that one big game. But now it's the playoffs. Now we need to win every game. At the end of the day, though, even though Joe Mixon hasn't been the best, and the Patriots' defensive matchup obviously isn't some wet dream game, at the end of the day, you're not fucking sitting Joe Mixon. At the end of the day, you're not going to sit a guy on one of the best offenses in the NFL where Mixon has the upside to score 2 touchdowns in any given matchup. He could have a monstrous day, even up against the Patriots with how good this Bengals offense is. So Joe Mixon is obviously a start. Ramondre Stevenson also obviously a start as well. When this guy is healthy, he demolishes defenses. I don't care if Damian Harris is active as well. I don't care if the backup running back is Kevin Harris, Pierre Strong Jr. Hey, yo, Pierre, you want to come out here? I don't give a fuck. Don't care. Ramondre Stevenson is that guy, and he's a start. Samaje P. Ryan, sit. Pierre Strong, also going to be a sit. Next up, we got the Texans going up against the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee. Derrick Henry is a must-start every single week, and as we know, Derrick Henry licks his chops. He lives for games against the AFC South. This man runs a fucking train on whatever AFC South defense it is when he plays them every time. And guess what? The Texans are in the AFC South, so don't be surprised at all when big man Derrick Henry Tractor Cito is the RB number 1 on the week. For the rest of the game, Hassan Haskins, his backup, sent him down. The Texans rolling out Dare Ogunbowale, Rex Burkhead, Royce Freeman. Miss my guy, Dameon Pierce. I wish him well. Can't wait to have him next year in my fantasy leagues. I was a big advocate of him, banging the drum since like fucking April on the guy. He paid off. Obviously, it wasn't the league winner like I thought because he got hurt, but Rex Burkhead, Royce Freeman. Should you start them? The answer is no. Fuck no, baby. Next up, we got the Commanders at The San Francisco 49ers, Christian McCaffrey, obviously a stardom. The Commanders defense with Chase Young back, I would assume Young would be back this week, is better. But we just saw Saquon Barkley do the do-si-do on their defense. McCaffrey is the best or one of the best running backs in the NFL. Not trying to get into an argument with someone who's going to say someone else is a better running back. It is what it is, right? He's in that elite tier. Top of the charts. Top of the charts. He's going to be the number one pick next year probably in fantasy, right? So the Commanders defense, left hand up. Who are we? The Commanders. The song's a banger, but at the end of the day, McCaffrey's going to be banging them in the ass without the use of any lube. I expect a huge performance out of McCaffrey this week. Jordan Mason is his handcuff. Jordan Mason looks good, but it seems like they're running the McCaffrey train here. They don't really want too much to do with Mason unless they're just beating the fuck out of the Commanders. Then Mason will come in for at least a substantial amount of time. Obviously, it's not like McCaffrey plays every snap. No running back does. Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson. Robinson's looked really good over the last couple of weeks, so it's hard for me to sit him. But I know deep down, this matchup against the 49ers is bad. The 49ers defense is incredible, amazing, A1, like the steak sauce. So while I love Brian Robinson, while I love him in his huge hat, if you remember that picture of him with the huge hat, he seems like an awesome guy. But this is fantasy football, and we're playing up against the 49ers. You don't want to start the running back, especially when it's like, oh, Saquon Barkley's going against the Niners. Fuck it, I'll start him. Henry, fuck it, I'll start him. Brian Robinson, leave him on the bench. That's kind of just how I see things. Next up, we move to the Philadelphia Eagles at the Dallas Cowboys for an NFC beast matchup. Likely without Jalen Hurts. You would think that would increase the upside of Miles Sanders because then Jalen Hurts can't vulture him. Sanders had a bit of a down game last week, but he was on fire NBA Jam style prior to that. How about them Cowboys just choked to the Jacksonville Jaguars, blew in a 1,000,000-point lead. Obviously, we can't shit on the Cowboys too much because of what the Colts did, but Miles Sanders looking like a primo start here, even with Gardner Minshew under center, the mustache man himself. I like Sanders a ton up against the Dallas defense. Pollard, Zeke, you start him. No brainer. Don't even have to think twice about it. If you had Pollard, you had Zeke, you probably didn't even have to watch this video. You knew you were going to start him. If I had to rank one or the other, I'm playing Pollard over Zeke. But that doesn't mean that the Kool-Aid man, Mike McCarthy, his fat ass, isn't going to roll Zeke out there and have Zeke run in a couple touchdowns, because he just will. But Nick, the Eagles have one of the best run defenses in the NFL. I know they do. I know they do when Davis is healthy. But at the end of the day, this Dallas Cowboys offense is a well-oiled machine. They are going to pound the rock. Pound the rock. And even though this is a tougher matchup, even though you might be shivering your timbers a little bit, Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott might be able to form an Eiffel Tower over that Philadelphia Eagles defense. Kenneth Gainwell, every couple of games, he's going to score a touchdown. Or Boston Scott is, but that is not reliable enough for them to be a start. Next up, we got the, turn your volume down, the Las Vegas Raiders. That was bad because my throat's a little fucked up, but the Raiders going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. Heinz Field, no longer called Heinz Field, but we ain't calling it whatever the fuck it's called now. Fuck that, it's Heinz Field. Josh Jacobs is obviously a start. Bit of a down game last week. He's playing against the Steelers. Oh no. Josh Jacobs is the focal point of this offense. They have Devontae Adams, and Josh Jacobs is just the guy. He is that guy. Against the Steelers, I know it's a little bit tough. Josh Jacobs could easily score 30 fantasy points here. So play him. Najee Harris going up against the Raiders. The exact opposite, right? The Steelers defense, pretty tough. Raiders defense, absolute bottom of the barrel garbage. Putrid. You can smell them through the screen. They smell like shit. Should be easy for Najee Harris to have a good game. Problem is, Najee Harris hasn't been great this year, but he's looked better recently. So I'm willing to start him, of course, because he's playing up against such a bad defense. Amir Abdullah, all the other backup running backs for the Raiders are going to be a sit. Jaylen Warren looks good, but the team really is just pot committed to Najee Harris. Next up, we move to the Sunday slated games. Christmas! Packers at the Miami Dolphins. Happy holidays to everyone watching today's video. I love all you guys. Thank you guys for everything, seriously. But back on into things as if I just talked for like 20 minutes. You know, it was just a happy holidays. Make sure you guys check out the stream Thursday and Saturday as well. Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon got concussed during last night's game. Played amazing. Cleared concussion protocol already. Was he just not concussed last night? I don't know. Don't know. Seems to be good to go. Gonna start him. Dolphins defense is great against the run. The Green Bay Packers, you know how America runs on Duncan? The Packers run on rushing the rock with A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. Dillon's looked great recently. I've been someone who's very anti-A.J. Dillon. If you were with me, weeks 1 through the last, week 12, when he was shit, you were right. He had one good game week 1, and then recently he's caught on fire. But look, if you had A.J. Dillon, some people didn't make the championship or make the playoffs, right? It's not the championship yet. That's next week. But Dillon plays, I'm playing him, even against the Dolphins. Same thing goes with Aaron Jones. They're both good pass catchers. Jones clearly better, but Dillon's going to catch passes as well. Again, not really a good matchup at all. Dolphins defense, as a Dolphins fan, I play very close. I almost said attention, like fucking Ken from Barbie. I play very close attention to the Dolphins, obviously. Their defense at home, chef's kiss, Manufuik away, they suck ass. This game's at home. So I worry slightly about Jones and Dillon, but again, I'm not going to sit them because they've both looked really good recently. Raheem, the Dream Mostert, just destroyed. Fucking eviscerated. Torched the Buffalo Bills. But for some reason, Mike McDaniel's dumbass, and I like Mike McDaniel. What the fuck are you doing, pal? We're gashing him, running the ball, and you keep passing. Just run. Just run. It's that simple. Raheem Mostert has 1,000,000 yards. Salvin Ahmed scores a touchdown. Great. Like, we're gashing him. We're butt fucking him. You keep throwing. You make no sense, Mike. I hope you got in the lab. Fucking whipped out. What is that called? Damn it. I don't know what it's called. I was trying to talk about, like, what are those things called? Like, the things you hold in the lab, and it's like the glass. I don't fucking know. But Raheem Mostert, he needs to get back, not Raheem Mostert, the other guy, Mike McDaniel, our head coach, needs to get in the lab and realize, hey, maybe we should run with Raheem Mostert more. Jeff Wilson might return. Jeff Wilson said he was good to go. The team held him back because Mike McDaniel coached Jeff Wilson as well as Raheem Mostert in San Francisco. He said, you know what? I like Jeff Wilson. I've known him since San Francisco. I'm going to hold him back because he's going to say he's good to go regardless. He wasn't good to go in his opinion, so we sat him down. Even if Jeff Wilson plays, it seems like Raheem Mostert's the guy, so I'm definitely going to start him against the Packers. Next up, we move to the Broncos at the Rams. A fantastic game here. Latavius Murray might have been pretty bad all season long in terms of his efficiency. He's inefficient. But last week, he erupted Mount fucking Vesuvius style. The Rams defense, not good against the run, as we saw last night. So again, while I'm not here on my knees sucking this guy off, think he'll have a fine game. I think he's start-worthy. Now, he's not going to be an upper echelon start. He's not going to be like a top 12 running back or some fucking bananas like that. Could he be a top 18 running back? Certainly. Marlon Mack is his backup. He's a sit. Return to the Mack. What it is, what it isn't. Cam Akers, Kyron Williams. If I had to start one, it'd be Akers. The Broncos defense, not really great against the run. They're really good against the pass. But this Rams offense, just like after that one fantastic Baker Mayfield game against the Raiders, and that was against the Raiders, and the Raiders are notorious choke artists, at least this year. So don't know how much that tells us. Akers could have a decent game, but I don't really want to start him. Same thing goes with Kyron Williams. Next game here, we move to the final game on Sunday before we move to Monday Night Football. James Conner, despite the fact that Trace McSorley, throw it on a dime, was under center, and Colt McCoy. I think McSorley's going to play this week, but I'm not too sure. It might be McCoy. James Conner still looks good. The team wants to give him the rock a bunch. The Buccaneers defense isn't as good as we thought they would be. James Conner should be just fine. I don't really feel great about it because I do feel like the Buccaneers defense kind of sneaky good if they're on, but they really never seem to be on. They seem to be real off. Rashad White, Leonard Fournette, sit them both. Cardinals defense is dog shit, but I just don't trust either of them. Like, their usage is so fucking confusing. I don't know what the team is doing. Sitting them both. Sitting them both. If you had to start one, it would be Rashad White, but not with much confidence. If I'm being honest with you, Keontae Ingram is a sit for me for the Cardinals. Final game here, the LA Chargers at the Indianapolis Colts. Austin Eckler must start every single week. Doesn't matter who he's playing against. Justin Herbert is a check down merchant, loves to just dump the ball off to him, and then the motherfucker could take that shit 80 yards to the cribbo. Austin Eckler must start every week. Zach Moss is a start, but not with a lot of confidence. I'm a little worried about Zach Moss because I think Deion Jackson's better than him, but the team showed us last week that Zach Moss was the guy. So gun to the head. Nick, you got to start one of them. It's Zach Moss. But if I'm being honest with you, I would be very nervous. Even though the Chargers defense awful. Putrid against the run. I'm still nervous. Joshua Kelly's a sit. Austin Eckler's the guy. Deion Jackson, if you had to start him, you could. But again, this situation in Indy, not looking the best, not looking the brightest. So thank you guys all so much for watching today's video. If you ended up enjoying, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, as well as hitting that like button. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter, please do so at NotoriousFNTSY. Today's video is brought to you guys by BetMGM. Again, make sure you check out the link in the video description or in the pinned comment down below. I love you guys all so much. I hope you have a great rest of your guys' day. And as always, good